Welcome, everybody, to another amazing episode of Necessity versus Commodity. You might have seen an episode with Harlan before and we talked sales. I have him on for a completely different reason. It's actually how to purchase, buy, or sell online assets and businesses. And there's a huge chance and ability for people to actually start making a lot of money and generational wealth by purchasing these type of businesses. Majority of people just think of like purchasing a franchise like a McDonald's or go buy your local or go buy real estate. But online real estate is just as valuable. And Harlan's got a company called Buying Beast, and it's exactly what he does. And I want to tell you, like I've seen posted his over the last year where like he's talking about like some of the people he's working with, they have like 500 million plus to spend in businesses. So we're not talking like small peanuts here, even though we are talking some smaller level ways to get in. We are talking really large acquisitions here. So there's a lot of things that go from picking the right business, legal protection, what are you buying, why you're buying, how do you want to operate. So Harlan, I want to welcome you to the episode and really dive into this because this is something that I know enough about to be dangerous, but very little to where I'd be hurt if I jumped into the realm. And so I'm super excited to talk to you about this. So tell me a little bit about Buying Beast, how you started it and why.
Well, first off, man, pleasure to be here once again. As far as buying these goes, man, so my business partner, Billy and Andrew, those two originally started the business. And it's actually very interesting the way that they got going with this. So Andrew had run a franchise gym, and they've also run various other businesses in the past, and they've sold them. Now, that process was a nightmare, absolute nightmare, because they went down the broker route. And for those of you who don't know, most brokers very lazy. There's a reason they have a bad reputation. All they'll do most of the time be like, right, you're going to pay us something up front to list your business on marketplaces and have calls for you. And we're going to take 10% of the sale when it sells.
Yep.
So basically, you could hire a VA to do more work than they would do. And it sucks, man. And like a lot of business owners, because they've tried this as well, like they listed a business on like one of these online marketplaces. Not many businesses get sold through those
Yeah.
because you're just kind of hoping and waiting to find the right buyer. And most of the people who reach out, by the way, is people like me saying, "Hey man, interested in your business, would love to have a chat about it. Can you send me some info?" And then we're trying to negotiate you off the platform in order to sell it. But this business was built in a very different way to the traditional brokerage because we're not a broker. It's not our model at all. Our model is all about speed for both the seller and the investor. And the way that that works is it's more of a wholesale model. So, we come in, we speak with the seller, and we're very transparent about our business model, and the buyer pays us, right? They pay us nothing. In fact, we basically pay them to work with us because we'll spend about 1,000 to 3,000 bucks on every business we look at to have a fully qualified CPA come in and review their financials. Now, the reason why is because most businesses, especially online, they don't do accounting well. Terrible with it. And they'll be like, yeah, man, you made like 300K last year. It comes back and they actually made like 200.
Yeah.
And so it's like, well, hey, man, here's what's actually going on. But the reason we do it that way, man, is because like if you think about it from an investor standpoint, if you're investing your time into looking at one of these businesses, and let's say you have a few conversations with the middleman, someone like me, and you're like, you know what, this sounds great, man. Really like this business. Yeah, let's absolutely. And now I'm going to go pay for due diligence on it. And all that info comes back, and it's like, whoa, you told me the business is doing this, but it's doing this. I don't trust you anymore.
Yep.
Why would I ever do business with you again?
Yep.
So that's what we've fixed. Everyone who works with us knows we're trustworthy because we'll look at 10 businesses, one, maybe two will actually make it to our buyers because these are businesses we would buy. It's not just, oh, yeah, you may just list it on the website and see what happens.
Right.
No, we're
It's,
very
it's interesting
specific
you kind
about
of
it.
just brought that up. I just saw a post the other day. I'm trying to remember where I saw it or who posted it, but they were talking about that there was a company that was being sold for $200 million.
Hmm.
The guy that was selling it, paperwork was almost done. The company was buying it. They hired a private investigator to kind of follow the guy around. They found out some of his nightly activities were not quite up to par.
Hmm.
And so he lost out on selling that deal. right? There are so many things about buying a business you have to worry about, like the finances, the reputation, what's going on in the back end, how are
Hmm.
things working. And I've known people that have exited, and we kind of talked about before we even interviewed, but I knew a guy that sold his company, did an exit 30 days later, gets a letter from that corporation's lawyer saying, hey, there was things that weren't disclosed here, so the contract's null and void. We keep your
Hmm.
company and you actually owe us 80% of the money back, type of deal.
Yep. You're on
And
the hook.
there's lawyers out there that's their job for these corporations, is
Hmm.
actually to help get the money back once the sale's done. So people should be very, very nervous if they're trying to purchase a business by themselves, which is why it's so amazing having somebody like you that's able to be that middleman that's going to do a lot of the heavy lifting, the due diligence. And I think it's awesome. You said, hey, these are business that you would actually want to purchase yourself.
Oh, because we
Not
do.
just
We bought
every
5 in the last year.
awesome. I was just going to ask, like, what businesses have you bought? Like, what type of business are we talking about here? Because
Yeah.
that's
So,
like a wide open ocean that I'm not really sure about.
oh yeah, man. So I mean, obviously this was before I got involved with the company, right? But they bought like, yeah, 5 different companies. Some of them were quite small, some were bigger. One's like an influencer marketing bot thing. One's this AI chat bot. One's like an ad spying tool, and then they got like a couple e-com stores as well. And like we bought them because we were like, these look great. We can scale them super easily. Let's do it. And if we had more money, man, we buy all the businesses. But that's why we do this, is in order to make more money so we can buy more and then scale more and then flip them and then do it again and again. But it's a fascinating industry, man. And like when it comes to e-commerce and SaaS, the thing that I notice, you have a lot of traditional investors, the guys who focus on real estate, stocks, bonds, and general things like that, buying a franchise, like you mentioned. This is a different world. Very, very different. Because there's a lot of mentors out there where they're like, yeah, you got to buy like distressed businesses, distressed owner, the baby boomers, where they're kind of going out of business, come in, get a steady company and just tick it along. That's one way to do it, absolutely. But in the e-com space and SaaS world, you're not really getting super distressed owners. These are people where they make really good money and they're like, well, yeah, I'd sell my store if I could make this much from it, 100%. So our job is to make sure that we can present the information to an investor and also get the seller on board to sell because a lot of them don't even want to because it's a great asset. But the reason it's such a great asset is because of how easy they are to grow. Like if you put $1 million in real estate, you might do, depends on how you're financing it and refinancing, whatever, but let's just say on average, maybe 10, 12% a year. You put that in an e-com business, yes, the money has been invested into the acquisition of it, but you can scale it. Can't scale a real estate property. You can with an e-com store. So if you find the right ones, which is what we focus on, ones that are like, hey, if you do this, 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 and this, you could triple this business in 6 months. And that's all of the money you put in the acquisition back already. And then guess what you can do after that? You can sell it again for 3 or 4 times more than you bought it for. That's the beauty of this industry. It's very fast moving. And yeah, there's loads of things you need to be aware of, but we'll probably get into that. But the thing I love about it is you can grow wealth really quickly, especially if you're someone who kind of you don't even need to understand a load about e-com and SaaS in order to do it because there's people out there that know how to do it. As long as you understand business, make more than you spend,
Yep.
right? You'll be fine.
Well, and
Because
that's
if
what
you
I was
can
going to
manage
ask you.
people, it's simple.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to ask you. You kind of talk about a different world, like you said, kind of just get into it. How did you start on this path? Right? Like the last time I had you on, we were just talking about, high ticket sales and where you started and fighting depression, all that type of stuff, having just pennies in your pocket, to where high ticket sales obviously brought you into a new world,
Yeah.
right? And opened up a lot of doors. And I think you and I both see that with a lot of individuals that are in the high ticket online space. They start somewhere and they continue to educate themselves, find something else, and like, oh my gosh, this is actually what I want to do. So how did you get into this? How did you educate yourself on this part to actually be this knowledgeable and expert?
It's quite interesting actually. So I'd always wanted to be an M&A. I say always, probably for the last 5, 6 years. I've always had this dream of, man, one day I'm going to be buying and selling businesses. I'm going to do it somehow, some way. And then I met Billy and Andrew. We got on like a house on fire, and then next thing you know, I own equity in the company because I've already done a lot of research on this. I knew all the terms, I knew how everything works, and I know about seller financing and like how to get loans and all these other bits and bobs. And I also run a marketing agency, so I know how marketing works. I understand a lot about e-commerce. I understand how these sort of businesses can run and how to scale them and what can go wrong.
Yeah.
So it was just the perfect storm, if you will. It was serendipitous, I think is the best word I can use.
Did you hire people to learn this, or was this stuff? Yeah, that's what I was assuming when you were kind of saying, "Hey, I was learning these skills." So, where were some of the places you went to learn? Like, was it hopping
Oh,
on
bro.
YouTube?
Yeah.
Was it you were
YouTube
working with certain companies and
podcasts, just
learning? Yeah,
yeah, YouTube podcasts, asking people questions, just reading articles about this sort of stuff and just getting into it, because like the thing I like about e-com and SaaS specifically, it is quite simple because there's no physical real estate, right? Like you don't have to worry so much about like depreciation of assets and another thing is obviously with these kind of sales, it's usually an asset transfer. So that's not like you have any retained earnings in the business and these kind of things to worry about that then affect the sale and blah, 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 blah. You're purchasing essentially a business model that is proven to make X amount of money that has the potential to 5, 10x. It's a different kind of investment in that way. So what I will say is it's riskier than investing in real estate if you don't know what you're doing as far as how to manage people. Because in real estate, you got clients that are nightmares, always happens. But if you got the money, you can get a property management firm. The cool thing with ecom, you can do the same. You can hire people who have scaled businesses. I met one the other day, actually, was setting up a partnership with him where any business over $1 million that gets acquired, he's going to be our preferred partner so that he can come in and actually scale that business by 500% in 2 years. And he can do it. He grew a business from 0 to 20 million in 4 or 5 years and then sold it for a lot of money. A lot.
beautiful. You talk about SaaS business,
Hmm.
right? And I want to kind of discuss that because right now, when we look at softwares with AI, there's so many techs. Like it seems like there's something new coming out every single month. How do you like look at a software and go, "Oh my gosh, this one is going to go. Not only can we scale it over the next 3 years by
Hmm.
500%, but not and not be a being
Flash
afraid
in
is
the
not
pan.
the correct thing, but to go, hey, this is actually something that's going to take off in the market. We're going to be able to do it. It's not going to be something that's a flash in a pan like Facebook
Fidget
Threads
spinners.
was, right?
Oh yeah, Facebook trends. I remember
Like,
that.
but that's Facebook, right? Like they're a huge business. They do Threads, try to beat a Twitter, and it crashes and burns. So how do
Mhm.
you just make those type of decisions? Going, hey, is this something that might crash and burn? It's going to really bite us in the back end.
Well, the big thing is there a market for it? Because the SaaS industry is growing at about 18.4% per year, which is pretty high, right? Like the e-com space is about 11, it's 11.8%. So I was researching all this stuff yesterday. So they're both growing industries, which is great. And if you think about the world that we live in now, remote work is becoming more and more and more common,
Yeah.
right? There's less and less people in the workspace, like actual offices. They're doing what you and me are doing, mate. And more people need softwares in order to make their businesses work. And also with AI, even better. That's awesome. Because you've probably noticed a lot of the softwares that you already use have integrated AI now.
Yep.
Like Notion has it, Airtable, basically, like even Close, the CRM uses AI now.
Yep.
Right? The only way to get left behind in SaaS is if you're doing it in a super, super niche market, or or something there where it's going to be hot this year and then it's gone.
Yep.
Don't do that. So if you have something where it's based around Shopify or like like the thing that Billy and Andrew bought last year, spying on ads, right? Those have been around for a long time. That they can be done better. Better metrics, leverage AI to find better data or whatever it might be. And as long as you don't get left behind, which is use AI, just do it, you should be fine.
Yeah. And one of the things with talking softwares, like I use so many, like I help so many clients, like, hey, we're putting this one into your business because it's going to take, 20% of your fulfillment off the table.
Yeah.
Finding the right ones is sometimes a really hard thing.
Hmm.
Right. And so software, and when I'm looking for a software, I'm looking for multiple different things. And everyone knows Go High Level. So I'm just gonna use that one as an example, right? Like Go High Level is a software. They don't want to do any sort of support. They don't want to do any of that. So they allow a bunch of agencies and people white label it. So then they're doing the support.
Hmm.
And so there's a lot of ways of setting up like a business like this to be successful, but also to make sure that you're growing the way that you are. And the reason why I kind of prefaced all that, fulfillment for a software for me is so important because a software and especially in the SaaS, hey, whether it's $10 a month or $100 a month, if you're not going to use it or can't immediately learn how to use it, you're going to cancel that and go to the next one.
Yep.
So that's a really important piece. So when you're going through that,
Ease
is
of
that a
use.
part of like your details?
Hmm. Yeah, ease of use is super important, man. Because like we live in a world now where people's attention spans are so short, and learning some super complex software, it's like, oh man, I just get AI to do this,
Yeah.
right? So you got to get rid of that. It's got to be something where it's, either you have like some sort of IP, something that's very unique that other people don't have, and you've got registered as a trademark and blah blah blah, or just something where it's like imagine GHL, but it didn't have all the bugs. I'd use that straight away, right? Or if GHL had the same sort of workflows and ability like Close CRM does as their actual CRM and all the marketing stuff stacked on top, I'd use that straight away. It's just better features, better product, better fulfillment.
Yep.
If you can tack those together in a SaaS, then you will win. Just be better than everyone else.
Yeah.
Now,
And it's
you
funny you
can
brought,
still make money by not doing that,
yeah.
so people do. But
Well, and it's
it's
funny you brought up close there, right? Like being a sales rep, I loved close. And the fact that they add IAI to it, just it's a beautiful thing. One of the offers I was on a couple years back when Go High, they switched over to Go High Level and got rid of close. I'm like, this is awful,
yeah, it
right?
sucks.
From as a marketing standpoint, though, and sometimes just as a business, like Go High Level is freaking amazing. So understanding what you
Yep.
need for software is super important, and I think that's where you kind of alluded to of like, hey, as a software, like how small is a niche that you're in? Is there a big customer base? Is this something that you can actually compete with? The fulfillment, all of that is huge, and like the ease. I think that's the number one most important thing when you look at SaaS softwares. Like, is it a plug and play? Like, I don't want to watch
It's got to be sexy, man. Like you got
Yeah,
to look at that and be like, damn, this is a nice dashboard. Yeah,
yeah,
this is cool. All right, sweet. Like just those little things are super helpful because, like, for me at least, I'm a very visual person. If I start using a software, it's just super boring to look at. I'm just like, I'm not using this. Even if there's something else that's exactly the same and it just looks nicer, I'll use that. Even if it's more money,
funny. I'm the same
right?
way. Yep,
Because it's like I'm gonna use this all the time. I don't want to just be staring at what is basically a spreadsheet. You
agreed.
know, like there's a lot of factors that go into it, but I think from the from the investment standpoint, it's very interesting, this game, man. Like a lot of the guys who are in traditional investments, they don't quite understand how this industry in this sector is. Like it can be significantly more profitable, but the deals are usually structured slightly differently. Because circling back to the point I made earlier, a lot of these sellers, they're not in loads of pain. Like I know a lot of guys, they build stores to sell them.
Yeah,
So for them, you're usually looking at like you're not getting tons of seller finance deals in this market. It's just not that common. You can do them, but it's usually like 50% upfront minimum. Whereas some seller financing is nothing upfront, pay it off over 5, 10 years. In this, if someone's making $1 million a year and you're like, oh, well, can we do seller financing and I'll pay you nothing and slowly take over your business? I'm like, no, I'll just keep running it. Like, why the fuck would I do that? So you've got to come with some form of capital to be like, hey man, listen, this is a great business. I love it. I know I can grow it. I want to take it off your hands. Here's my offer. Yeah, it's fantastic. Even if it's 50% upfront, pay the rest off over 2 years. Most sellers will take that deal because they don't want to be doing these businesses anymore. They want to move on to the next one. But
yeah,
they've built this so it can be sold. And the other thing is the seller side, man. The seller side's a nightmare. It's very common in this market when a seller is on the verge of selling and they're like, yeah, I'm working with these guys now. They're going to sell my business. They take their foot off the gas. worst thing you could ever do. Because if your businesses did, let's say, 300K last year or 350, and you're doing, let's say, 20, 30K a month profit, and then you take your foot off the gas, now you're doing 8K a month. Now you're on a run rate of 100 grand this year. Your business is no longer worth $1 million. It's now worth $300,000. Like it can change like that. And I think for anyone considering getting in this game, understand it is a long game. It's not quick money. High ticket sales is quick money. That's super easy. Get on a call, close it, get paid that week. But you're not going to get paid lots.
No,
With
and building
this,
generational wealth or passive
that's the
income,
difference.
owning businesses, like you have to go to that next level. And you brought up something really unique. They're kind of talking about some of the businesses that people are buying, right? Like it's successful because it's actually being worked. It's not, hey, you don't have to do anything. It's just automatically running on its own. So if that
Mhm.
business owner steps back a little bit, it can tank it at all. So that's
Yeah,
a very thing that I was, really interested in learning about going. The next step for my personal goals are to start acquiring businesses, whether it be brick and mortar, whether it be real estate or in the online space, and going, okay, if you're buying a business that's online, how volatile online we know can be, but also done right, how successful it can be.
exactly.
And so looking at those businesses that are successful. So let's say I'm coming to you and approach and going, hey, I'm looking at acquiring a business. I've got $2 million cash that I can work with. What would your suggestion be to me for a business?
Possibly e-commerce.
Okay.
And again, I think for most investors, e-commerce is just a bit more of a simple model. SaaS, there's a lot more back-end work that goes into it, and you're paying a higher multiple. Like I'm just looking at this from an investment standpoint,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, please.
Thing with SaaS that I do like is the fulfillment's automatic. You don't really do anything. It's more so just marketing and have a good product. The real money that's made with SaaS is when you exit them, right? Like you're going to make 50% of what you've made throughout like the entirety of owning that business just in the exit if you do it right. So that is the one benefit. But on the e-com side, if you scale big enough, you can get really good multiples. And then depending on the model you have as well. So a buddy of mine, he works for a private equity group. So their model is they'll find businesses, and then what they will do is they will turn them into subscription models, like e-com companies. Because any subscription model business where you have just recurring revenue, multiple goes up straight away, just from that one change. Because it shows consistency, predictability, and it's like, well, hey man, listen, if we do nothing, we're still going to make this much just from the subscriptions and all the add-on products on top. So it's a really good way of, at least it's one of my favorite ways I've seen. But for let's say that example where they've got 2 mil, I'm going to need to understand their experience, right? Like, what do they need? Do they have experience managing e-commerce companies, or are they a real estate investor? If they're
Yeah,
a real estate guy,
I'm curious about. Yeah,
yeah, if they're a real estate guy, super easy. I just look at this like digital real estate. That's what it is. You can't physically touch it, but it is there. And it's not going to go away unless you delete everything. So the way you have to look at things is okay, if you're going to be the investor in the business, what do you need? You need a management team. So where do you find the management team? We know a lot of people, so we'll help with that. And also, whenever you're buying these businesses, a lot of people are like, oh, but how am I going to run it? The team comes with it. Like you're not usually getting a lot of W-2 employees with e-commerce companies. It's all contractors. And so their contractors with that brand name and brand entity, they still want to keep getting paid. So during the acquisition, they just come along with it.
yeah,
So everything keeps running the same. The only thing you might need is like, let's say that I'm speaking with that investor. I'm like, all right, man, this is the business I think you'll like. Here's why. And here are the red flags that I see. This is why they're red flags, but here's what can be done about fixing those, and here's how we can help with that. So on your side, it's a no-brainer investment. You can come in, we can put that team in place or this management role or whatever it might be. And on your side, you just speak with the owner once a week. They'll help you to get everything set up over the next 6 to 12 months and then also grow that business. And when you have enough knowledge and understanding of it, it's super easy. Like
yeah.
e-commerce is not hard. It's just have a product people want in a market that's big enough to be consistent and have good marketing. And obviously fulfillment comes into it, right? But
Correct. Yeah. And that's why I was kind of asking a question, like do a lot of the people that are coming in and buying businesses, working with you guys to buy a business, do they have that skill set within that business? Is this something completely different? Right. Like I could go invest what, $5-10 million to buy a McDonald's because
mhm,
you're buying the consistency, the systems, all of that type of stuff, but you're only going to generate $150,000 or so in profits a year with that, right? But you're buying that
mhm,
asset for that. You don't have to do it. You can just freaking leave it because you've got
yeah.
everything handling on it. And so a lot of the businesses that you're selling, let's say I come in and buy one, is that something that's just running on its own, or do I need to step in actually as like I need to run this company and I need to actually
Yeah.
learn about this company because that's a whole different ballgame.
So what I always say to the sellers, I always ask them, so how many hours do you put into the business per week? If they say anything more than 5 hours a week, I'm like, whoa, that's it's quite a lot there, man. Like, what are you doing? And if they just say so, I just make sure that the orders get sent to the manufacturer. I'm like, oh, well, that's super easy to fix. Just get a VA. No time in the business anymore. Done. Right. But if it's, oh, well, yeah, like there's loads of these different processes that I have to manage because no one else can do it. It's like, right. So you have a job. It's not really a business.
Correct.
And they're like, what? It's like, yeah, you have a job, mate. So what I can do for you, though, I can refer you to someone who can actually help you get out of your own way for this business so that in 6 months from now, we can actually talk about selling this for more than you want now. Because, when you're in the game for a little bit, man, you know people.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's the
Well,
beautiful thing with it.
when you brought up, the exiting, and a lot of people they might have a very profitable business,
Mhm.
but they're exiting to move to the next one.
Yep.
And like I told you, is like a friend of mine who I've worked on a project with he's scaled and exited 7 different businesses, on an eighth one now. Um, what he's doing now is actually he helps subscription-based businesses install viral loops. So you grow that automatically, right? And very powerfully and very strategically, very specifically. And it was crazy when I was helping him with his marketing, even doing some of the sales calls. I want to say 9 out of 10 people that I spoke to, they were trying to grow their business within the next 12 months, and they were trying to either double to quadruple it because
Mhm.
their goal was, I just want to get out of this business the next 12 months so I can move on to my next idea, which I already have and I'm already trying to work on. And I don't think people understand how many businesses are out there in the online world that,
Huge.
yeah, you brought up earlier, there's some really successful online coaches out there that talk to teach you how to go and acquire a business from a baby boomer for zero money down, right?
Mhm.
Because those are all coming up a ton. But I
Yeah.
think there's even more of these online businesses where owners are, I want to scale this in the next 12 months and get the heck out of here because I've got something else going on.
Hmm.
And there aren't enough people's eyes knowing that. And there, I think it's slowing down. So, how big of a market do you see that being in the next 3 years? Because I see it exploding.
Oh, dude, yeah. I mean, I've looked at the stats on this. I've got it in front of me actually, because I was making a new, I'm revamping our sales process for the business. But yeah, by 2025, global e-commerce should be a $6.5 trillion industry, which is, it's pretty big. SaaS, not quite as big. It's about 317.6 billion. But even so, that's a ton of money, man.
Yeah,
Like,
so much.
it's a ton. And coming from the high ticket world, man, it's a very interesting transition coming into this because what you thought was a lot of money is no money. You're trying to convince people to invest 10 grand in this course so that they can make 20 a month. And now I'm speaking with guys who are like, yeah, man, anything under 100 mil, I won't even take a look at. It's not worth the time.
Yep.
And the cool thing is, those transactions you can close in 2 weeks because they know exactly what they want, exactly what to look for, exactly how to do it. And if you give them that, they'll just go, yep, cool, let's get it done.
One of my mentors, I work with him 3 days a week. A little bit of a backstory. So he actually was an angel investor when I opened up my brick and mortar business like 10 years ago.
Hmm.
And 2 years ago, he was on a site and he fell 30 feet, fell to concrete with his best friend and business partner. His friend and partner died on the scene. He shattered his spine, right knee, left ankle, hip, messed himself up, was told he's never going to walk again. He called
Hmm.
and said, hey, I need to call in a favor. I need to teach me to walk again. So I've been the last almost 2 years, I've been working with him 3 days a week. He's walking stairs now, barely
Mhm.
needs his cane, doing amazing things. Very
Nice.
successful business guy. Like he's planning on donating a church next year. So we're talking about a $25 million donation, and it's not going to affect him at all.
Mhm.
When I was with him the other night, his wife is actually on vacation this week, and we were hanging out for a little bit after, just kind of chatting. And he's like, "Yeah, I'm going to go buy a farm because he's got two grandkids. They're under the age of 3." And like, Kenny loves playing in the dirt, so I'm gonna go buy him a farm. I want my kids, and the granddaughter's got wants to ride horses.
Yeah.
So yeah, my wife's probably gonna be pissed. I mean, she's gonna come back about a hobby farm essentially, right? And so to your point, the amount of money, right? Like again, of what's out there in the world, and when we get into that level, it is a new level, and it's a new type of mindset and understanding. People have very specific goals and very specific needs on that.
Mhm.
And it's a totally different realm, and it's a very fun realm to be in. And
Yeah. Well, the
me
thing I
seeing
love
it with
about it is the
multiple people like
mindset.
that is super fun. Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
100.
the mindset's so different because, in the high ticket world, a lot of the time it's people who are on the come up. It's like they're trying to get their life to a point where they can be that guy who can just buy the farm on a whim. But when you speak with that guy who has that kind of money, you can't like objection handle them. It's like, so, when you do this investment, how's that going to affect you personally though? Like, what's it going to do for you? And I'm like, well, what the fuck are you talking about, man? I just want to make more money. Right? I've got 20 million in the bank now. Making an extra million is just a tiny piece of what I want to do. That's a stupid question.
Correct.
That you can't do that. It's a lot more. It's all just trust and logistics is the way I look at it. It's relationships, right? And if people trust you and they have money, they'll do business with you. They just will.
Yeah,
And that's the thing I think that sales helps with. It 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 forces you to be someone who has to be trustworthy. Because even in high ticket, if people don't trust you, you're probably a terrible salesperson. You're probably on the bottom of the leaderboard right now.
yeah,
So when you get relatively good at being able to be trusted and being worthy of someone's trust, coming into this space, you're just you. And they feel that authenticity, and you can speak with them and have a real conversation and just help them, be the guy who can kind of just get them exactly what they need in the time that they need it. And then when they have it, they'll do business with you, man, whether it's $1 million or 20 million. Because for some people, that's nothing. It's no
absolutely.
money.
Right. Yeah, and it's super funny, talking that way, and it's the high ticket space. We see all these 18 to 25-year-olds coming up,
Mhm.
right? And you have like an ego that they're trying to portray, and
Mhm.
which is awesome. We've all been there. Like it's not a shot, but there's different levels that obviously go through in the communication, which is why, like on some of the offers I did sales for, some of the people that I spoke to, and like the one guy who, again, he's started multiple businesses. He's exited 7. The last one he sold for like $80 million. He knew me as a sales guy, but then my continued conversation with him, like you said, I wasn't going, hey, like, how's this going to affect you personally? Right. Like you're not having this conversation, like having a real true conversation and really solve problems, and understanding that. And there's a level of confidence, level of
Mhm.
sales, a level of knowledge, a level of understanding, a lot of transparency that really comes into that, which is why some of these individuals purchased from me when I was a sales guy, but also why they've also now hired me like to come and do, CMO work for them and different things, or to take sales calls to be checking out their process. Because again, these are business owners coming in that are making $1 million a year. They're not going to go for like a standard script. They need some much deeper than that, and they have very specifics, and makes it a different
Mhm.
conversation, but it also makes it way easier once you get to that point. And
Yeah, it's kind of one of those. It's a catch 22. It's easier and harder at the same time.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
easier as like getting the truth out of people and just having a real conversation. The hard part is finding the right fucking deal for them,
yeah,
especially in the
that's
M&A game.
exactly it. Yeah,
Because it's like I know this, like there's a few people I'm in contact with now. I know exactly what they want. They have the money liquid in cash and they will buy it, but I don't have that yet. That's the hard piece is getting those businesses where I can just say, hey man, you said you wanted this, this, and this earlier, right? When we were speaking last month. Well, I finally found it. Here's what it is. Here's the niche. Here's the revenue. Here's the profit. Here's what it's selling for, right in the multiple that you were looking at. This is the trajectory of this business is this, and this. Do you want to take a further look at it? Yeah, send it my way. 2 days goes by and no, they'll be like, right, here's my offer. Let's go.
Yeah. That
That's the
and
hard bit.
I was actually going to ask you about that. When people do work with you, is it normally because you've posted about a business and people start reaching out? Because I see you're very active and you say, "Hey, I've got a business," or "I'm looking for this," or "I'm looking for that,"
Mhm.
right? And that, and obviously, if you're posting about it, that's probably 5% of what you're actually doing and who you're actually connected with. So if someone's coming to you, you normally have multiple businesses already lined up, and you're like, "Hey, here's my portfolio. I've got these 5 businesses that fit like your criteria." Or is it normally, "Hey, I'm coming in because I want to purchase something in the next 6 to 12 months. I just want to make sure it's right." And then you're out there finding it. Or is it a little
The
combination?
mix,
Yeah.
yeah. So sometimes, like I said, it just works out. Someone will message me. It's quite funny actually. Like the posts that I make about these businesses, they don't get loads of likes and comments, but I get a lot of messages.
Yeah.
Because the people with money, man, they're not going to comment saying, "Yeah, I've got $2 million to
Oh,
invest."
100%. Yeah.
Right? They
Yes.
just DM you saying, "Hey, send me the details. Here's my email."
Yeah.
Right? That's it. But yeah, it's really a mix of both, because like I said, I'm not a broker. Like my whole thing here is just making sure that I can do the right thing for the people I'm in business with, which is treat them with respect, as long as they treat me with the same respect, of course, and be an asset to them in some way. I'm not out to hurt people. I want to make money and I want them to make a lot of fucking money too. So if I can find them the right business, that's a win-win, you know, because they can get a phenomenal company. They know that we have a team who can come in and actually manage the business for them and grow it past it when they've exited. And then from that, we then have a great relationship. And yes, they buy more businesses.
Yeah.
You know, the hardest part that I found, because when speaking with Andrew and Billy, the founders of the business, they were saying that when they started, and their first couple hires, it took them 6 to 8 months to even close one deal. I've been doing this 3 months and I've got like three that are going to close within the next 2 weeks.
Beautiful.
So you can do it quickly,
Yep.
and there's so much money to be made. It's insane because, especially with our model, right? Like it's a bit different. Um, but when you're talking about millions of dollars and you're getting a good chunk of that, like, dude, you know, and to anyone who is in sales who's seeing this and thinking, oh, this sounds really cool. I'd love to do that. Don't fucking do it if this is going to be a full-time thing and you don't have any money, right? Just don't, because you're not going to make, like, how many people do you know who have $1 million in their bank right now? Probably no one. How can you expect to go and sell them a business or sell anyone a business for 1 million if you don't know anyone who has 1 mil?
Yeah.
That's the hardest piece, connecting with these people. But when you build up a bit of a name and people kind of know who you are and they know you're trustworthy and that you have a good reputation, people start flocking in. It's really cool because they're like, oh, hey, man, so and so was telling me about you. I thought it was really cool. Right. Like before the Zoom today, I was on a call with a guy who was like, yeah, dude, like we have to fly you out to Vegas, man. Come meet us all. Like, it's gonna be super cool. And then someone else came on the phone and they were like, hey, this is Dr. Bates. You and me need to talk.
When I was,
And it's
and
great.
once you, yeah, and once you get in certain groups, right? Like that's a thing of, again, I think, to your point of, hey, if you're just starting off in high ticket sales, you've been in for a couple of years, you're doing well. But it's kind of like the corporate world, or it's like anything else. Like to be invited into certain rooms, you have to either pay or be invited. And if you're being invited, there has to be a reason why you were invited. And
Mhm.
obviously, you're displaying a lot of that, which is why people are being attracted to you. And you have such a strong reputation from the high ticket sales, everything else you've done, which I totally understand why people are flocking to you. When you are trying to find these individuals, is a lot of it a referral, or are you actually able to go make those connections on your own?
Oh, all of it, mate. Yeah.
Okay.
Like LinkedIn, Facebook are phenomenal. Facebook's surprisingly good, by the way, for finding people who have a lot of money. It's really weird. It shouldn't be, but it's really good. They,
I,
there's, it's very strange.
I'm not shocked by that at all.
Yeah.
I've been in the industry for so long. Everybody's there. It's the same thing when I hear about like Instagram and people are
Mhm.
selling. $500,000 cars through like 4 messages and DMs, right?
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
again, you throw a car out there and you have $500,000 and that's a car you're looking for. It's pretty easy to make that sale. Everybody's online, right? It's
Yeah.
just like,
Just
what are you
where?
putting out, right?
Yeah.
Like
Well,
that's really what it
that's a
comes
really
down
good point, man. So the thing that I find helps with like whether it's Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, is because if you're messaging someone, they're gonna look at your profile. If your profile is like, you out on the town drinking, like doing loads of stupid shit, yeah, of course, no one's gonna message you back.
to.
But if you have a professional profile, you look good, you have some good credentials behind you, like you can see the people, these people seem trustworthy. Whoever this person is, they might watch one or two of your videos and they're like, oh yeah, it seems like he knows what he's talking about. All right, cool. I'll message him back. Because that's what I do. Like if I have a salesperson message me or some random DM, I'm like looking at their profile, be like, who the fuck is this person? And if it's like, oh, they seem legit, I'll message him back and I'll get on a Zoom call. But if it's someone who's messaging me, it looks like they've taken a photo of themselves with like a Nokia brick from 2004 and it's super pixelated. They've got no posts, no nothing. And they're like, yeah, hey man, this is what we do. Da, 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 da. I'd love to pick your brain. I'm like, all right, well, you have to pay me $750 for the hour, mate. So
Yeah.
here's the
There's
link.
nothing like having, notifications and one person likes 10 of your different posts and then sends you a DM,
Oh,
right?
dude, yeah.
Like,
Classic.
so yeah, and can you provide value immediately right off the bat? And that's a big thing. And I do the same thing, like being in the space and all the groups I comment in and the amount of messages I get, it probably not compared to yours, but some of the ones you're just like delete, 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 delete,
Yeah.
delete.
I
So
always
you
get
have
this
to
the VA
understand that
messages, man,
somebody's probably
every day.
deleting lines too. Yeah. So
These fucking VA companies be like, hey, bit of a direct message here, man, but just wondering if you want high ticket clients. I'm like, shut up, mate. No.
yeah. Well, and that's the importance of like your personal brand, like what you're putting out
Mm,
there and who you are. In the past 6 months, I've been pretty quiet because everyone kind of just knew me high ticket sales. Before that, it was all fitness.
mm,
So I've been just really working with a lot of clients who know me when it comes down to the CMO work. And that's a little bit different of a thing, but that's something that's going to be ramping up here as well. And I think I told you before, my next goal is actually to start getting into this type of wealth building, which is why I wanted to have this discussion with you so bad. Um,
well, hey, man, if you want to buy a business, you know a guy.
I know a guy, and yeah, and I want to learn a lot from you actually with this, and I'm really excited about this relationship because of that key part. Um, Looking at the ecom business part of things, and I know we're coming to the top of the hour.
Yeah, I got a call coming up, man.
Yes. And so I really want to talk ecom with you because ecom is kind of like SaaS, right? Like it's a pretty broad term, but you can understand, hey, a software that does this, it's this price. Do you want it? Yes or no? Ecom is way different when you're talking certain things because you're talking affiliates, products, this and that. Ironically, actually, the shirt that I'm wearing, Unreal,
Hmm.
um, really good company. The owner is like a younger brother. I've known him for 20 years. Does very very well for himself, and Unreal is a very well known company. Does stuff for majority of the NHL teams. He does stuff here for the Vikings and different. So very good lifestyle brand, really good stuff. Actually, I think you would love some of his clothing. We should get some nomadic clothes or stuff. But when you look at like an e-com brand and that market is so variable on what you do. And so I want to have a conversation about that. I don't want to make it a 3 minute conversation because you need to jump. So I want to have you back so we talk just ecom business because I want to do that. I think that's something that I think a lot of people want to hear and
Hmm.
potentially if you want. So are you open to doing a second call just ecom
Of
with me?
course I am, mate. Yeah,
Okay,
absolutely,
cool.
man. Would love to.
So, with a couple minutes here to go, is there anything that you want to just say to anybody out there that might be interested in buying, selling, learning more about you, where to go?
Mm. Yeah, of course. Well, listen, like, if you're someone who's in high ticket and you're like, I think there's more out there. Number one, you're right. There's a lot more out there. Number two, if you want to get in the M&A game, just have the right expectations with it. It's not quick money. It's a long game because it's all about the network you have. But the great thing is when you have a good network, the money just comes to you. You're just a connector. It's like, hey man, met this guy the other day, right? He was saying this, and I know that you said you wanted that. And everyone pays very, very well when you're talking about hundreds of millions of dollars,
Yep.
right? Like your commission on $100 million deal will be a few million, which is pretty decent for one deal that you had nothing to do with. You just connect two people.
And which is why you said earlier, like if you're in a high ticket space, don't try to do this because 1 million sounds amazing. I closed one. Yeah, it's not going to happen. But yeah,
Yes,
go
it's
on.
not going to happen quickly,
Yes,
right?
yes,
It
correct.
will happen if you don't give up.
Yeah.
But yeah, look, if you're interested in it, Billy actually runs a mastermind teaching people how to get into e-commerce and SaaS M&A. So reach out to Billy Bat on Facebook and Instagram or wherever, LinkedIn. If you're interested in selling a business or buying a business, you can reach out to me on Facebook. It's just Harlan Ryker. Search my name. You can also go on the website if you want, but you should speak with me. I'm the best at the company, selfishly.
I'll make
No,
sure that
I'm
everyone
not
has
that
your
cool, man.
link, and
I'm
I'll
not
put
that cool.
Buying Beast on there as well. But
Um, and yeah, I think that's really it, man. Like on the M&A side, obviously, Nomadic Close, we've got the house. We're going to be doing 2 or 3 more of those this year, right away for
beautiful.
everyone, which
Yeah.
is going to be super cool. So we've already got a few locations lined up. Can't say where, but they're going to be really cool. You know, beautiful mega mansions, loads of awesome people hanging out for either a week, 2 weeks, or a month, whatever people can do. And yeah, on the sales side of things, we still do some done for you sales for some clients, higher ticket only, like 25K, or at least you have to have one product for 25K or more, and also a proven business model, right? We don't want, hey, I've got an idea, right? And it's not a
Yeah.
business.
Yeah.
But
Correct.
that's it, man. If people want to have a chat with me and you feel like there's some synergy between what you're looking for and what we do, then let's chat. If you're just looking to pick my brain, you're gonna have to pay me for it.
Yep. Or follow your content. You put a lot of really good stuff out there.
Exactly. Yeah. Just follow. I'm
Type
starting
of deal.
YouTube now as well, so there's gonna be some cool
Oh,
stuff coming out there.
awesome. I'll make sure that links are in the comments too. People can find you, and we'll figure out when to do this ecom one here when time kind of lines up for you over the next couple weeks or month or whatever it may be. So I'm so thankful for you come on and start opening us up, and I'm really excited to dive into the ecom side and see where it goes. And a lot of people know you from high ticket sales. Knowing you as this level, it's huge. And again, thank you for coming on, Harlan. I appreciate it.
It's going to be an interesting next few years, man. A lot of people don't know this, man, but I'm only 25. So when I get to, 30, I'm going to be looking back, being like, damn, dude, this is crazy. What a journey, you know?
It's crazy to think that we have a 20-year age difference, right? Like that,
Yeah.
it's nuts. And to think of where you're at, like if I would have where you're at when I was 25, I'm not looking back with any regrets by any stretch of imagination, and um, had major successes at your age as
Mm.
well. And I can't wait to see where you go from here. So, and yeah, the next closer house, I would love to. I want to make sure that I'm there for at least a week.
I'd
So
love to
I can't
have you,
wait
man.
for the
Be an
next one. So
absolute
I'm
pleasure.
super excited for that. So if
Absolute
anybody else
pleasure.
doesn't know what that is, Nomadic Closer House, we're a bunch of just amazing people like Harlan, high ticket sales, business. Go spend this first one's a month in a mansion in a beautiful place, chef out there having fun, doing your stuff, working, making money, learning. And so he's got more of them come up this year. And so make sure you guys are tracking and following that as well. So again, I appreciate it, Harlan. And I'll have this out here shortly, and have a good rest of your day. Good luck on your call.
Appreciate you, brother. Thank you so much.